On behalf of the RiverFest Organizing Committee, on behalf of Rotary International, we're so thankful that you can join us this afternoon. This is the last event of the week-long RiverFest celebration. You know, when we began RiverFest about, 12 years ago, it really felt as though something deeply was missing. And through the efforts of Evie Nerbonne, who is helping these wonderful people put up their food booth, Jackie Bradham, Buck Malik, the Indigenous celebration was added as a part of RiverFest. It felt as though any celebration of the river was really missing something very deep. And so for that, we thank the Indigenous community. Moses, would you come up here? Corey, please come up. We're so deeply honored that you can join us this afternoon. And in many ways, this is a celebration of the River Croix, but it's also an honoring of your deep understanding of the importance of rivers and waters in the circle of life. We thank you so very much and so deeply for joining us this afternoon. Please give them applause. Now I have to look at my sheet of paper. This afternoon is made possible by the Native American Tourism Bureau of Wisconsin, the St. Croix Casino, and the St. Croix Chippewa Indians of Wisconsin. And, of course, by our wonderful sponsors. Norlake, you see up here, and the whole list of sponsors that are listed on the back of your program. So each year, we've brought a program in which a Native community is able to share with us their culture through singing, dancing, storytelling, drumming. And so for the next hour or so, we are so honored to have the Ho-Chunk Nation joining us and doing the sharing of their culture. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Corey.
Aho, chukaro. Let's all say that. Aho, chukaro. Together. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Aho, chukaro. And that means greetings, my friend. So I want to say good afternoon to all of you who have come out here and gathered at this festival. And this is my first time here at the St. Croix RiverFest. And party with a purpose is the motto. So we're going to party with a purpose here today for about an hour or so. We're going to be bringing to you some history of, in particular, our group here of singers and dancers. We are all comprised of the Ho-Chunk Nation. We are all enrolled members of the Ho-Chunk Nation of Wisconsin. And if you're not familiar with the Ho-Chunk Nation or Ho-Chunk people, we are the original people in this neck of the woods, you could say. I would say the Great Lakes region area. We are the original inhabitants. As in our culture and our history, our creation story puts us right around Green Bay in that area. And from there, we spread as far as the Mississippi River was one of our boundaries. And that Mississippi River, that goes a long ways down. And then they say Lake Superior is our northern boundary. And then Lake Michigan is our eastern boundary. And they say that goes down all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico that we roamed, the Ho-Chunk people. And I'm talking, let's say, and you go to school, and then you take science or anything like that, or and they talk about BC, AD, and they talk about ice ages, and some of those ice ages put you back millions and millions of years. And in our Ho-Chunk oral tradition and our story, culture that's passed down, we can say that we've been here for 3 ice ages in Wisconsin. 3 ice ages. We didn't come from Asia. We didn't come over no land bridge. We didn't migrate from anywhere other than Green Bay area. And now it's getting to the point where anthropologists and different people are finding things, finding what they call artifacts that predate what they call history. So if you want to think about that, just for a second, that puts us Ho-Chunk people in this area for millions and millions of years. I know that's kind of a hard thought to fathom, because many people are taught that this was discovered. Well, I want to share some history with you. Christopher Columbus was lost. He was lost, and he found a little island down in the Caribbean called the Puerto Rico. And he landed there, and he was so lost, he thought he was in India. So he didn't discover anything. He stumbled upon it. And there was people already here. So I just wanted to share some history of where our people come from. And some of the things we're going to be sharing with you today predate contact. And for us, our Ho-Chunk people, we have an exact year that we contacted the Europeans, the people not from this land. And in our case, they were called the French. And they landed in the year 1624 at the banks of Lake Michigan by a place called Green Bay. And that's the first time that the Ho-Chunks seen anybody that didn't look like them or didn't come from here. And then from there on, we made a good relationship with the fur traders, and we cohabited with them. We allowed them. That's what happened, is we allowed them to live here and live amongst us. Because in them days, if you know anything about the story of when Nicolay landed there, it talks about thousands and thousands of just warriors that lined the banks of Lake Michigan. And just to give you an idea, that was just one village. That was just one of our villages. The Ho-Chunk people had several villages. The biggest village that is known, it's down in a place where a major city now lies, and it's called Chicago. And our oral history talks of at one time, before the coming of non-Indians, that village there in Chicago, one could step into that village and then walk on the tops of the heads of Ho-Chunks. Walk on the tops of the heads and walk across that village and not touch the ground for up to 4 days. That's how many Ho-Chunks were in that village. And that was one of our strongholds. And then as you see, as the fur traders and as Europeans and different ones came here, they seen why we were there. And then they took that from us. We also had another great big village, and I'm talking miles, along the Mississippi, over by a place called La Crosse. And they say that village starts up by a place called Trempealeau, and it goes down as far as Prairie du Chien. And if you are familiar with geography and the layout of Wisconsin, that's a great distance. And that was a village. You went in the north, you walked to the south, that's how far. Those are just the landmarks that they used to describe it down to us. So I'm just giving you a little idea of our people, the Ho-Chunk people, how long we've been here and where we come from. Because I know not always you learn the people that originally inhabit your area. And then even in our stories, long before the coming of anybody, we knew about it. We knew there was going to be other, what we call Wankshiks, other Indians. They were going to come here. They were going to come here, and when they came here, they were going to bring something good for us. And that's exactly how it was. All these tribes come, and they came here. And when they came here, they brought something good. And in return, we gave something good, because it was something that we didn't own. So we made peace, and all these other tribes came into Wisconsin after the coming of Europeans as they drove everybody westward. So that's some of the untold history that isn't told in textbooks, that you're not taught in school. They don't talk about these kind of things. What they talk about is manifest destiny and the heathen savages that they had to drive off the land. That's what they're taught in school. But they don't talk about the good things. Because at once we lived in harmony. We lived in unison. We didn't war amongst each other, these tribes, until the coming of the white man, the European. They taught us how to do that. These are the words that my grandfather taught me. We all lived in harmony. We all lived in unison. If there was something the next tribe had that the other tribe needed, we shared and we traded and we got along. So this is some of our history I wanted to share. And now we're going to get into more this way, to the future here, to the present. Because over the course of time, we know that things never stay the same. Things are always changing. And as these other tribes come, what I'm talking about, they brought good things with them. Us Ho-Chunk people, we didn't have what we know as the powwow drum till right before 1900. We know the exact year that it came to us from the Omaha people. And that was in return. These what I'm talking about here. Us Ho-Chunk people, we were removed from our homelands up to 3, maybe 4 times that we know about, to a place called Bulos, Minnesota, Fort Thompson, South Dakota. There was one in Iowa, and then the final place that they tried to take us was Winnebago, Nebraska. And even then, we came home every single time. We came home to Wisconsin. They couldn't get rid of us. So eventually we made peace and treaties, and they allowed us to keep some of our original homelands in the 14 county areas of Wisconsin, with the heart of it being around Monroe, Jackson, Juneau, Sauk County, down in the center of the state, right in the heart of the state. And the reason why I'm telling some of that history is because every time they would return home, Ho-Chunk people, they were labeled as renegades. We were labeled as renegades. Then they would round up the renegades. And then they would throw us into box cars, animal stock cars. And then they would ship us out to Prairie du Chien, down to the stockade where they kept the livestock. That's where they would throw all these Ho-Chunk Indians. And then from there, they would ship them out to these different places that we're talking about. And then, like I said, we would always come home. They couldn't keep us out of here. And then my brother, he come along. We grew up, and that inspired him to be a better Ho-Chunk, knowing our history. So he acquired a drum. And he was thinking of a name for his drum group. So one day he came up with the idea, the Renegades, and that stuck. So when he goes we have big social gatherings in the warmer months, and they're known as powwows. How many people know what a powwow is? Okay, that's where all these tribes I'm mentioning, we all get together, and we all share a likeness of dance and song, and we enjoy one another, and we share our tribal dances, we share our foods, stories, there's friends, and lifelong relationships are made at these places. So there's many drum groups that show up and they dance, and my brother, he's one of those drum groups, and that's what I'm talking about, the renegade singers. And now, as we're getting older, people come to us and ask us to share the history that I'm talking about, these dances, these songs. And pretty soon we had to think of a group name. So my brother, he decided to be called the Renegade Singers and Dancers. So today, we're going to be presenting you with our style from our tribe, how our men dance, how the women dance, how they dress. And then through time, we're given different social dances from other tribes, call our own. They have them. So we're going to be presenting those today, and we're going to be starting off as we start every celebration. We're going to be bringing in our dancers in what we call a grand entrance. And they're all set here, so we're going to be singing our grand entrance song. And they're just going to dance up here on the stage here, and everything you do is in a circle. You're going to notice that. As they dance in, they're going to dance clockwise in a circle. They're going to try to complete the circle. And then that represents the circle of life. There's a beginning and there's an end. Everything we do as the earth rotates in a clockwise manner, we imitate that. So at this time, we're going to present you with the grand entry. Let's give them a... All right, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, when we have our big celebrations, and in the front of our grand entry is usually a veteran that has served in the United States Armed Forces, whatever branch it may be. And he would be carrying either two things. One would be our eagle staff. And our eagle staff, our chiefs would use our eagle staffs, and they could direct a whole war party. War party could be in 1,000 warriors, and just with the movement of that eagle staff, that chief, he could direct all those warriors and what to do. And then when the time would come where we had to hold the line at all costs, this eagle staff was stuck into the ground, and the warriors knew that at that point, it was to fight till the death if need be. And then later on, as time come on, the armed forces came. And even though people, Hudson people, they weren't even considered citizens. Some of them went to these armed forces, and then they fought in these wars under the United States flag. So, if you come amongst the Hudson people, we're proud Americans. We're very proud Americans. We hold our veterans in high esteem. There's a time that's known as Memorial Day. Every year we have a celebration. And if you come to Black River Farm, where we have a celebration, on Memorial Day, we raise the flags of our fallen veterans. And then it's a beautiful sight. You go pull into the power grounds, and there's all these Indians with hundreds of American flags flying above their heads, celebrating and dancing. So today, we're going to share with you our rendition of the national anthem. We're going to be singing our song. So, if possible, we ask you to rise and remove here in honor of the United States flag and our relatives that have served in the armed forces. Thank you. Chicken, be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, before we continue on any further, I'm going to tell you a little bit about this drum. Okay, the drum is the center of all of our celebrations as Native American, indigenous people. And this drum, it represents the heartbeat of, as Ho-Chunk people, we call the earth our grandmother Earth. It represents the heartbeat. And all this drum came to us. It wasn't a good time. It was bad. There was war. And in this war, there was a lot of people dying on both sides. Well, during that war, they say a young girl, she ran off into the wilderness, scared, and she was hiding, and she was crying. And she cried so hard she fell into a deep sleep. And in the sleep, they say a buffalo came to her in her dream. And this buffalo, this bison, it told her to find this hollowed out tree. And that when she found that tree, that he would be there. So when she found this hollowed out tree that this dream told her about, then she looked and there was a buffalo hide laying there. And so she went and gathered her male relatives and told them what the dream instructed her. So they fastened this drum. And if we take off we call them the clothes, we dress our drums up. It's strung up, and it's strung up just a certain way. And that's how she was instructed. So her male relatives did that. And then they let that drum dry for 4 days. And on the 4th day, below them where that fight was taking place, these 4 men took that drum down there and they set it on the battlefield. And they began to sing. And as they sang, all these warriors that were fighting, they all stopped. And they say they all dropped their weapons and they all began to dance. And that's how this drum came to us. Dance maker. Celebration. And they tell us that when we sing around this drum, we're supposed to have a good heart. We're supposed to treat everybody good. And we're sharing that with you today. So I'm going to introduce our singers, because without our drum and our singers, none of this would take place. I mean, maybe it would. We'd be playing a cassette, but that wouldn't be no fun. So I'm going to introduce our leader, our fearless leader, my brother here, Moses Cleveland. And my brother here, he's a member of the Bear Clan. And then next we have my second oldest son here. His name is Croix Hensley Jr. He's a member of the Warrior Clan. Then we have our uncle here, Mr. James Blackdeer. He's a member of the Elk Clan. And that's our drum here, and then there's myself. And you know what? As I was introducing them, I thought, how rude of myself. I never introduced who I was. The lady introduced me, but I didn't introduce. And my name is Croix Hensley Sr. My whole chunk name is Kikalu, and I'm a member of the Warrior Clan. So, thank you. And at this time, we're going to be bringing our dancers back out here. We're going to share with you what we call the friendship dance. And this is a dance we're presenting to all of you, and we're going to call you our friends today.
Hey!
right, but I want the attention, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your round of applause. At this time, we're going to be bringing our male dancer. We're going to be playing on cells here. And we're going to be talking a little bit about the style that these fine gentlemen are wearing here today. And every tribe, they had their own. Well, let's take it back just a little bit. It's talking about 1624 and the coming of the Europeans. Prior to that, any of this kind of stuff, we only wear skin, plant hides. And they would, most of the time they would be pure white or they would be smoked. And they'd have them fat, the leggings like such. And then they would have shirts and the coverings, what we call aprons or breechcloths. So the style you see up here. We'll start with him. His name is Monty Green Jr. And then he was a member of the Bear Clan of the Ho-Chunk Nation. And amongst the Ho-Chunk, I was told that not just anybody can wear these particular, they call them an otter hat, a turban. How it's fastened and he wears it on his head, I was told that not just anybody could put those on. This is a sign of their clan, as they were soldiers that went into battle. They're the only ones. Otherwise, the chief clan are the only ones, the chiefs are the only ones who could wear them. And even then, how they wore them, they were fashioned in a different manner. And so my uncle here, he's wearing that, representing his clan. And then as you go down, see, we had things like this prior to contact, his top here, that's fashioned out of an otter. And later on, as these Europeans, these Frenchmen, they seen these fine furs that our people were wearing, they wanted them. Otters, beaver, marten, mink, fisher, ermine, all these animals, they wanted them as fashion was big in Europe. So what they began to do is they began to trade the Native American indigenous peoples for these furs. And that's how we acquired these materials, these beads, all these things that were foreign to us. And then we turned them, we used them, and we incorporated them into how we dressed. And then we didn't just run around like this every day either. These were special clothes. We only wore these in big gatherings, our ceremony. We didn't just walk around all day dressed up in bells and feathers and, every day we wore our buckskins, or they would have plain clothing. So just so you know, these young men are wearing their finest. And then we're going to go over here to my sons. These are two of my sons. I have 3 sons, one's on the drum. This is my oldest right here. And his name is Eldon Hensley. And his Ho-Chunk name is Nachate, and that translates to big tree. And he tries to live up to it. As you can see, he's bigger than I am. But we as you can see, my sons, they're wearing red color, a lot of it. And that's what I was talking about my uncle here. In our case, it's our clan, the warrior clan. And the warrior clan are the only ones that are allowed to wear red other than the chief himself. And there's a lot that goes to that. It's not just our clan color, but there's teachings and there's a lifestyle. We're forever the servant. We're forever working. In the days of war, we would be the first ones to go into the war. And at the end, we were the last ones that we'd go through the battlefield and we'd make sure that all the Ho-Chunks got out of there safe. That was our clan duty, and that's some of the things go along with that color. It's not just my favorite color I could throw on. So if you come on Ho-Chunks, the real Ho-Chunks that believe in that style, you won't see them just wearing red, even in everyday life, a red T-shirt or anything like that. So they're young men. They're what nowadays what they call the woodland style. Woodland style. This is when they brought us the power drum. we had our own style of clothing, and what we did is we just danced. We danced the way that the Omaha people showed us how they would dance, and we wore our own clothing. And today they even call it a woodland style. I know there's other tribes, but they kind of just bunch us in the Great Lakes region. They just kind of bunch us all together and call us the Woodland Indians. So at this time, they're going to be showcasing how our males would dance and how they do dance at our social gatherings.
All right, again, let's give them a round of applause. Let them hear it. All right. Now we're going to be bringing our women out here. And like I was saying, prior to the contact and the trade, our women, they also wore buckskin. They would wear buckskin dresses, full-length dresses. And then later on, as the trade occurred, trading, we acquired these fine silks, fine linens. There's has some on her dress down here, these metal brooches, different things that we acquired for trade, and they would incorporate them into our clothing. And whatever you want to explain.
That's it.
All right, I'm going to turn it over here to my Chuzak because I wasn't taught this stuff as I'm a male.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Gabby. My Ho-Chunk name is Kikarasinch. So we have our beads. Those were a symbol of wealth. And then we have the beaded drops. These are hair ties, and they were used to help carry things. And then the designs in the front are sometimes they belong to a family. Sometimes you could tell what clan you're from. And then the moccasins are made so that in the winter you can pull the tops up and they would cover your legs also. Let's see, anything else? Huh. Yeah, it's at the pocket. I think that's it. Yep. Thank you.
Also, there is one thing I do know about that our females wear, and that's these feathers. See, he's got one over here. And my daughter here, this is my daughter. Her name is Cecile. She's 10 years old. She also earned her feather. And these are not just given, and you can't just put them on. They're earned. They're earned by your male relatives that are not only just a veteran, but they've seen combat. And in that combat, they have taken the enemy's life. That's why they're so important. They're like not just, and this, along with these feathers, the story is told. The story is told of that warrior's battle and how he took the enemy's life, and then they placed this feather on their female relatives, and they say that that's going to protect them. We believe that protects them throughout their whole entire life. And when they wear these feathers, it's an honor. And as you can see, she'll have a red tipped feather. Well, there's a red feather on tip on it, the fluffs. And in her case, that represents that the veteran who feathered her, he was actually wounded. He was wounded in battle. And so that those aren't just given out either. And my daughter, she also has the right, as my uncle, my dad's brother, he was a Vietnam veteran. But he told us to wait till she gets older to put that on there. And that's what these represent. So these are high honors that a woman have. And the only other thing that I can say about this style of dance right here is this comes from us, the Ho-Chunk people. When we received this drum, in them days only the men would come out. And then they said that this should be for everybody. So they allowed their women relatives to come out, and they would stand on the outside of the circle, and the men just like this, with their feathers on, they would dance. And then they felt that drum. They felt that drum, that power, that beat. It's a good feeling for our indigenous, our Native American people. It makes you want to dance. It gets your attention. And those women were feeling that. So the only way that they knew how to dance was how we dance in our ceremonies, in our lodges. So these women, they began to dance to this drum, to this beat in that same manner. And as you see, it's different. They keep their feet together and planted to the grandmother earth. And then they would have their hands up here. And in our ceremonies, that represents they would have tobacco in their hands. So this style of dance actually does come from our Ho-Chunk people. Nowadays, there's all kinds of people all over that dress their tribal style and dance in this manner, and they call it the woodland scrub dance. But it originated with our people, and we call it the Ho-Chunk applique. So at this time, we're going to be singing a women's song for our women, and they're going to be dancing for you.
give them a round of applause.
Huh? Oh yeah. Pardon me. I forgot to introduce our female dancers. First, we'll bring my daughter out here. Her name is Cecile Hensley. And she's 10 years old, and she's a member of the Warrior Clan. And she's going into the 5th grade. Put your hand up. And then we have Miss Gabby Rave. And she's a member of the Bear Clan. And she's going into kindergarten. No, I'm just kidding. And this is her mother, Miss Becky Cleveland. And then this is also her granddaughter. And for the life of me, I apologize, I cannot pronounce her name, so I'm going to give it to her grandmother.
Wasi Nibi.
And this is our little granddaughter, and her father is from the Anishinaabe people up in Ontario, Canada. And I believe they're is it the St. Croix? They're going to come out here, and they'll probably talk about the dress she's wearing, as she's wearing a jingle dress. And she gets that from her father's side of the people. So let's give them a round of applause. And at this time, we're going to be going into one of our social dances that take place during our social events, our gatherings. And a lot of our dances, a lot of our beliefs, our stories, we get them from nature. And this next dance actually represents the circle of life. And it's called the snake dance. And in this snake dance, you're going to be seeing the snake, as the song starts, the snake's going to come into the world. And it's going to be traveling around this earth. And then it's going to come to a certain time where it's going to have to go into hibernation. It's going to go into a den. It's going to coil up. And then as the winter passes and the snake, it's going to come out of hibernation. And then it's going to go around a little bit. And then it's going to get to a point where it outgrows its skin. And it's going to shed its skin. And then it's going to go a little bit further. And it's going to go. And then pretty soon it's going to come to his end of his life here on this earth. And then it's going to be crossing over what we call the river of life. And when it gets to that river of life and crosses over and jumps over the river, then they say that's a new life. And that's the end of our dance. So we're going to be sharing that with you today, the snake dance. Yeah, but I forgot something. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is that part I'm talking about. The snake here, he's getting to the end of the life. It's getting difficult for him to get around. And you're going to see that. He's going to give it the best goal to try to keep going on his create. And how are we going to get to that? He's not going to want that right away. So you'll see the snake even try to back away from that. But in the end, nothing lasts forever. And he finally crosses over. Let's cheer them on as they dance across. Let's cheer them on. You guys can cheer them on. Women can go together. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was the snake dance. Let's give them a round of applause. All right. Well, I want to thank you all for being respectful and a fun crowd into it, participating with the clapping and cheering them on. We were having such a good time. I went over the allotted time. So please excuse me for keeping you longer than So we're at the end of our presentation here. We're going to be cutting it off, and we're going to be dancing out our dancers, and that'll be the end of our performance. Thank you very much for your attention. Good afternoon. I want to thank each one of you for coming out and getting a little bit of education about my tribe, the Ho-Chunk. And some of you that don't know me, my name is Moses Cleveland. My Ho-Chunk name is Huey Scott. But I was approached by our tribal office of the president, and they asked me if I would come over here and get some of my relatives together, and if we could come over here and share a little bit of our culture. So I want to thank each and one of you for stopping in, coming over here and joining us. I hope you enjoyed the show. I want to thank the committee here and the organizers for inviting us and treating us. I mean, they've showed us really great hospitality since we showed up yesterday. And I'm really thankful that we got to make it over here and do this for every one of you. And I hope you all have a rest of a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you, Moses. We're the ones that are so grateful. And again, you graced our presence. All right. So, folks, I now have the pleasure of introducing Michaela Frock. So earlier this year, I think in May, the Women's Club of Hudson had an effort to restore a plaque that acknowledged the land that we're, the beautiful land that we're upon, standing on, sitting on. And I'd like Michaela to come up and tell us a bit about the history of that, the process, and where it is now. So, Michaela, welcome.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm new to Hudson, but my grandfather and my mother-in-law were born and raised. So I am lucky, and my husband owns the St. Croix Baking Company downtown. So go get some cookies if y'all want. But I grew up in a tiny little town called Aquasco, Maryland, where the Patuxent River and the Potomac River meet. So it was Native American, but different tribes. So in any case, on behalf of the Hudson Women's Club, which I'm a new member of, I would like to just tell you about this plaque. So evidently, in 1932, the Hudson Women's Club installed in Lakefront Park to commemorate the heritage and the history, a boulder, and they put a big old bronze plaque on it. Unfortunately, it was vandalized in the 70s, and the city removed it. But then the current Hudson Women's Club learned of this past, and our director, Miss Sandy, at that point, dug into it with passion and with the cooperation of the city to restore the boulder, and in recognition and respect of the past 92 years of this park and the heritage and the Native American influence. So it was replaced and the dedication ceremony happened. And then, of course, it flooded. But then we at the Hudson Women's Club restored it and stuck it back up. So we are grateful to the park officials, the neighbors, and all of those who embrace and support each other for the better of our community and country. So that's about the boulder and the plaque. And now, more importantly, here's the land acknowledgement. Today and all days, we acknowledge and are engaging in life, learning, and experience on the lands of our Indigenous sisters and brothers. We acknowledge the attempts of erasure through physical and cultural genocide by settlers and colonialism. But we also acknowledge the resiliency and beauty of our Indigenous siblings who continue to serve, protect, and love this land. We celebrate the power and majesty of the St. Croix River, the river's meaning, and the livelihood for those ancestors who have come before us, including the Anishinaabe, the Wakapiktu, the Wapitan, the Ho-Chunk, and the Menominee tribes. We will encourage all those who experience this landscape to continue to engage in honorable action, stand in solidarity, and continue to hold our shared humanity with the peoples of this great land as we intentionally work towards liberation for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michaela. That is just such a wonderful effort on the part of the Women's Club. Thank you so very much. So in a couple minutes, the St. Croix Band of the Chippewa Indians are going to be presenting their piece of this, their part of this powwow. But while they're switching out drums and getting ready, we are going to invite you to come up and enjoy some Indigenous foods that are up here. There's fry bread, which I've had before. It's awesome. There is wild rice soup. So take a minute, come on up, have something to eat, and in just a couple minutes we'll be right back. As well, have a look at Scrappy, sort of our mascot for RiverFest, and Scrappy is dressed and then undressed and redressed yearly with what is collected from the St. Croix River. This year's sort of river cleanup was last Tuesday. Have a look at Scrappy, enjoy some food, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes.